the Daily Trust News Center. This is the News Hour.
Tonight on News Hour, Kaduna State Governorship Election Tribunal orders rerun in 24 polling units. Lawyers give different interpretation of judgment. Wives of 7 worshippers murdered in Kaduna beg for help. NLC says no agreement with federal government to suspend impending strike. And away from Nigeria, 14-year-old stabs 3 teachers and 2 students at Spanish school. Hello and welcome to the News Hour on Trust TV. I am Ayuba Ila. Thanks for joining. And now the news in details. Petitioners and respondents before the Kaduna Governorship Election Tribunal are laying claims that the judgment delivered on Thursday by the Justice Victor Ovie-led tribunal favored them, while counsel for the APC said that the tribunal has dismissed the petition of People's Democratic Party and its governorship candidate Isa Ashiru's case for lack of merit. PDP counsel Babalawal Aliyu told reporters that the tribunal's judgment ordered rerun election in 24 polling units in 4 local government areas. The governorship candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Isa Ashiru, had asked the tribunal to declare him winner of the March 18 governorship election in Kaduna State, accusing the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, of non-compliance with the Electoral Act and corrupt practices during the election in the state.
You know, by the provision of the Constitution, they are required to also consider the petition on merit. So on merit, 2 of them said that election is supposed to be conducted in 22 polling units because the number of the voters there exceed the margin of lead. But they have said that the PDP wanted it to be declared as the winner of the election. The tribunal said that they have no proof that. They allege that there are corrupt practices perpetrated by APC. They said they have no proof that.
Based on the facts placed before it, court arrived at decision based on the submissions and argument of lawyers. And the majority of the tribunal judges decided that the election was inconclusive, and 1 judge affirmed the election. And the majority decision of the court is that the election was inconclusive.
The case has been dismissed, and that's it. So he is the governor of Kaduna State, and we want to congratulate him for this victory, which I think we are going to maintain and confirm to the people of Kaduna State that we are going to continue to do what we promised to do. We are going to continue with the sustained agenda of the governor.
We want to thank the people of Kaduna State by standing with us, and they are now sure that what we told them that INEC did, a rape on democracy, on election processes, have been confirmed by the tribunal.
All right, now an Abuja-based legal practitioner, Mutiu Adesaye, joins us via Zoom for a perspective on the election petitions judgment. Thank you so much for joining us on the News Hour. All right. Well, it appears that the interpretation given by both councils to the APC and the PDP is leaving the public in a bit of confusion here, as both are laying claims to this judgment. What do you make of this?
Okay, I do not think there's any ambiguity in respect of what the tribunal's judgment is. It's clear that it is 2-1, and the majority decision of 2 members of the panel is obviously the decision of the tribunal. And what that means is that there will be a rerun in those identified polling units. And that rerun on its own can determine who will eventually become the governor of Kaduna State.
All right. Now, this judgment is coming virtual, and, virtual hearings is relatively new in our climb here. And I'm wondering what the position of the law is and whether or not it is, adding to the confusion?
Not at all. It's not adding to the confusion. Virtual hearing in our courts has been affirmed to be constitutional. So whether hearing of cases, whether at the tribunal or in our regular courts, or delivery of judgments in the tribunal or in the regular courts has been held by the Supreme Court to be constitutional. So there is nothing obviously wrong with the members of the gubernatorial tribunal of Kaduna State delivering their judgment virtually.
All right, so what do we foresee here now? With this judgment, what does it mean? Does it then mean that the sitting governor, Obasani, is now being sacked and until the conclusion of the rerun election that is to be conducted?
Okay, so Governor Obasani has two choices to make at this time. He has 21 days from today to appeal the judgment that has been delivered by the tribunal today. And if after 21 days he refuses or fails to appeal to the Court of Appeal, then INEC will be left with no choice than to conduct the rerun election as ordered by the tribunal. But I think what we all need to understand at this point is that the reason why the court ordered the rerun is simple. The number of votes in those identified polling units is about 16,000 plus. And you will recall that the difference between the votes won by Governor Obasani and Ashiru was just about 10,000. So the number of registered voters in the identified polling units as we speak now is about 16,000. And that can make a lot of difference if the rerun is eventually conducted.
So what you're saying is that if within these 21 days the sitting governor Obasani decides to file for an appeal, he can ask for the court to dismiss this judgment of, conducting a rerun.
Exactly. You know that there are 3 stages to challenging gubernatorial elections in Nigeria. The decision of the tribunal today is just the first stage. If Governor Obasani decides to exercise his right to appeal within the next 21 days, that means the Court of Appeal will have a second chance to still look at the case and give its judgment. And after that, there's still the 3rd stage, that's getting to the Court of Appeal, the Supreme Court, sorry. So the Supreme Court may also still have its own say on what the tribunal has decided today. So depending on what the parties decide, if they decide to go on appeal up to the Supreme Court will have the final say on whether there should be a rerun or not.
All right. Well, thank you so much, legal practitioner Mutiu Adesai. Thank you for joining us on the News Hour and sharing your insight.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
All right. In a similar vein, the Supreme Court has on Thursday dismissed the appeal by governorship aspirant of the All Progressives Congress in Kogi State, Abubakar Achimugu, seeking to nullify the primary that produced Usman Ododo as APC governorship candidate for the November 11 governorship election in the state. The appeal was dismissed by a panel of Supreme Court justices led by Justice Inyang Okoro. A federal high court had declined Achimugu's prayers seeking to disqualify Ododo on the ground that he did not resign his employment with the Kogi State Public Service 30 days before contesting the governorship primary election. Dissatisfied with the judgment, he approached Court of Appeal, which also held in a unanimous judgment that the appeal challenging the judgment of the Federal High Court in Abuja lacked merit and dismissed it accordingly. At the Supreme Court hearing of the appeal, Achimugu's lawyer said that the respondents did not resign their appointments but later agreed that they resigned. The Supreme Court queried the appellant's counsel on why his issues for determination in the appellant's brief did not have any challenge as to why the decision of both the Federal High Court and the Court of Appeal should be voided. Now, away from that, weeks after the killing of 7 men by bandits in Saya community of Ikara local government area of Kaduna State, wives of the deceased are appealing for help to enable them take care of the over 62 children left behind by their late husbands. The community, which is still traumatized, say that they are still living in fear as they witnessed such an attack in the area for the first time. Trust TV's Bello Musa reports.
Saya is a community in Ikara local government bordering Kano State. Prior to the recent attack, there was no security challenge in the area, but the attack by suspected bandits that led to the killing of 7 men sent chills down their spine.
Ai yanzu muna cikin dimuwa kware da gaske. Domin dai dan dai kawai Allah ya sa akwai wasu abubuwan da ba zai yi mu faɗi shi ba.
This is the family of the vigilante leader of the community who was among the 7 killed by the gunmen. He left 17 children with one of his wives pregnant at the time of our visit. Then, naming ceremony of the 17th child was ongoing.
We are still confused because we have been left with children we cannot care for alone. We are devastated, but we have to be patient. We believe that this is from God.
It is another pathetic story for this family, as their husband left them with 20 children. Life has not been easy for them after the death of their husbands.
My heart beats faster than normal each time I remember him. I felt like joining him in the grave. We have 20 children to take care of.
Saleh Ibrahim lost his son, a graduate of NCE, seeking admission in the university. This family also lost their brother, who left them with 8 kids, mostly minors. We are still living in fear because there are things we cannot voice out. We leave things in the hands of God. Whenever I remember my son, I become worried and traumatized. He was productive and he helped me a lot. He had a large family which he provided for, but now the responsibility is on us. The children are all minors with only 2 adults. 6 people were killed here while worshipping inside this mosque by the suspected bandits. Malam Ilyasu Usman is an eyewitness. I was praying outside the mosque. All of a sudden, they came, shooting with their faces masked. We took to our heels, and when they left, we realized that they killed our people. Saya is a community without a security outpost, and it appears the attackers who arrived at the village on motorcycles took advantage of the bad roads leading to the community. They carried their heinous operations within just 10 minutes and left. I called the DPO of Ikra, but due to bad road, when he arrived at our community, and later soldiers from Kano arrived at the community minutes after the attack.
wuce suka tare motar shi, suka tare shi suka ce ba su kuɗi, babu kuɗi kuma bisa hikimar Allah suka harbe shi.
5 out of the 7 victims killed by the gunmen left more than 60 children who are now at the mercy of relatives and neighbors. Meanwhile, prayers have resumed in this mosque few hours after the attack by the suspected bandits. Bello Musa, Trust TV News, Kaduna.
Residents of Samaru in Gusau, the capital of Zamfara State, are still terrified since the discovery of the lifeless body of a veteran broadcaster, Hamisu Danjir, 2 days after he was declared missing by his family. The corpse of the renowned journalist was found inside a Sokowe ditch after residents have complained of unpleasant smell that polluted the community. The report.
The deceased was last seen by his neighbors on September 17, when they prayed the sunset prayer together at the community mosque. A staff of Voice of Nigeria warned the broadcaster was killed by yet-to-be-identified persons who molested him and dumped his corpse inside the trench. Reports had it that his killers stabbed him with a knife 5 times in the stomach and then strangled him to death. They also cut off his hinge joint while trying to put his lifeless body in the ditch.
Though I was shocked because I saw no reason why Danjir should be killed, brutally killed. Because what has he done to anybody? This is a person that has been described by everybody that happened to meet with him as very gentle, very jovial.
When the corpse was removed from the Sokowe, no member of the community recognized Hamisu Danjir, but his relations identified him by his fingers, legs, and trouser. Hamisu's death has no doubt created vacuum among his family and friends that will be difficult to fill in the near future. A father of 4, Danjir's family, friends, and neighbors received the news of his death with great shock.
The deceased is my father. His demise has made me feel so sad, but any time I remember that he died a martyr's death, I feel so happy. There are so many good things about my father, some of which I'm just getting to know. He was a friendly man. He smiled a lot and was a peaceful man. I thank God because we have started receiving the blessings of the good life he lived. We have left everything in the hands of God, and we know he will take over everything that concerns us.
A peace-loving gentleman, Danjir will always be remembered by residents of Samaru, Danjir village, and the people of Zamfara State for his generosity and simplicity among his peers. Media practitioners, Nigerian Union of Journalists, and other professional bodies have lost a hard-working and dependable broadcaster that has paid his dues in the journalism profession.
When I first met Danjir, I knew he had no formal education. This is what many people don't know about him. He had no formal education. And if he had any, it must be not more than primary school. But his performance can be compared to somebody, a trained person, compared to a degree level. So Danjir is very dynamic because of his broad interest in journalism. He has been able to scale through to produce so many astonishing reports that can be compared to those who landed the thing in universities.
The Nigerian Union of Journalists, Zamfara State chapter, has charged the police in the state to hasten investigation of the matter with a view to identify the real killers and punish them according to the crimes they committed.
To make sure security agencies have done the right thing to address the matter by bringing those suspects or whoever is involved in the killing and molesting of Hamisu Danjir. Justice has been brought to the family and to the union team.
3 suspects, including 2 of the deceased nephews, have been arrested by the police in connection to the late Danjir's brutal murder. Yusha Adamu, Trust TV, Gusau.
The Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Taoreed Lagbaja, has given personnel of the Operation Safe Haven a multi-security task force maintaining peace in Plateau State 48 hours to fish out the killers of the Fulani leader in Panyam. The commander of the operation, Major General Abdusalam Abubakar, disclosed this when he visited the district head of Panyam, Da Aminu Darwam, on Tuesday. Ado Musa reports.
The Fulani leader, whose body is yet to be recovered, was allegedly killed by yet-to-be-identified criminals on Saturday in Panyam community of Mongu local government area of the state when he was returning from a visit. Abubakar, who doubles as the general officer commanding 3 Division, Rukuba Barak, described the act as unfortunate, adding that the operation would do everything possible to get the perpetrators arrested.
Now this weekend, we had a very sad incident in Panyam. And if we don't immediately try to nip that in the bud, it will make all the gains that we have made, in the last couple of months fade away. And that is why I am here today. Yesterday, I briefed the Chief of Army Staff and he has given us 48 hours that we must fish out the perpetrators that assassinated the Ardo of Panyam.
The district head of the area thanked the commander for the visit and promised to collaborate with security agencies to arrest the criminals, describing the incident as shocking, considering the fact that both Fulani and the locals had coexisted peaceful for years.
You have come at the right time. This is a period we have long been waiting for as a community. This thing happened, in fact, it sounds strange to us as a community. This is a community that has been living in peace over the years, particularly with the Fulanis. Some of us were when we were born, we met their parents.
While condemning the incident, the Army General emphasized that the military and other security agencies will not relent in their effort towards stemming the spread of insecurity in the state. Ado Musa, Trust TV News, Jos.
Now, the controversy around the handling of insecurity in Zamfara State and by the state and federal governments on the politicization of security is polarizing views of residents in the state. A cross-section of residents, while speaking to Trust TV, say that the face-off between the state and the federal government is counterproductive to the development of the state. The report.
A rift between the federal government and Zamfara State on negotiation with the leaders of bandits groups came to the fore after the abduction of students of the Federal University, Gusau. The Zamfara State government on its part rejected the idea of negotiating with bandits, while the federal government has already engaged some leaders of different bandit groups in discussion to secure the leads of the students.
Bandits have been disturbing us in our area. This has forced me and my family to leave our hometown to this place, and we have been here for almost 2 years. All my children are here. I have 4 kids, and we all live together. The story we hear from home are not pleasant at all, because bandits invade our towns, kidnap people and take them to the bush and then request for ransom. We no longer rear animals, because bandits have packed them all and taken them to the bush.
While some residents welcome the idea of dialoguing with bandits, others support applying kinetic approach to end the menace. They are of the opinion that several negotiations have been carried out by previous administration in the state, but did not yield positive results, hence the need to face the bandits squarely through the use of maximum force.
We're calling on the government to fulfill the promises he made to the youths during his campaign. He said he was going to help people and fight against poverty, and up till now, we haven't seen anything. Today we are refugees. Government has set aside money to fight banditry, and it doesn't seem to be working. They should use this money and help us refugees. It is lack of employment that is making youths engage in these illegal activities. We are calling on the government to come to our aid, create job opportunities, and also give us capital to start businesses, so we will not beg. If negotiating with the bandits will bring peace, then so be it.
Activities of bandits became so pronounced in Zamfara State in the recent times, with a series of abduction and attacks on many communities in the rural areas across the states. Hundreds of innocent citizens have deserted their respective towns and villages for fear of attack by the bandits. The residents expect a genuine collaboration between the two governments to restore peace in the state, to enable them go about their daily activities without apprehension.
As for me, negotiating with bandits is not the right thing to do. They have done it not once, not twice, and still yet nothing to show for it. Even after the negotiation, they killed my in-laws. So for me, negotiating is not necessary. I'm calling on the government to fight these bandits. You will be in your house and bandits will come and kill you. May God continue to help our governor.
Reports have it that the rift between the two governments is affecting only the masses that are being attacked and displaced by the dreaded bandits almost on daily basis. Yusho Adamu, Trust TV, Gusau.
A 35-year-old kidnapping kingpin has been arrested in a raid by police detectives from Crack Squad in Yobe State. Identified as Muhammad Wada, the suspect was arrested in Kanda village of Kolere community, Fune local government area, in possession of deadly weapons. The command's public relations officer, DSP Dungus Abdul Karim, disclosed this in a statement made on Thursday. According to the police spokesman, the suspect confessed to having organized and perpetrated many kidnapping incidents in parts of Damagum, Kolere, and some parts of Tarmua and Dapchi local government areas. Items recovered from the suspect include one pump-action gun, 2 fabricated pistols, and some ammunition. DSP Abdul Karim added that an investigation has commenced as efforts are on to arrest others in the incident. You're watching the News Hour on Trust TV. Coming up shortly. Jail committee pardons woman serving 18 months for stealing pot. Details and more after the break. Welcome back. You're watching the News Hour on Trust TV. Now let's take a look at the top stories again. Kaduna State Governorship Election Tribunal orders rerun in 24 polling units. Lawyers give different interpretation of judgment. Wives of 7 worshippers murdered in Kaduna beg for help. Now, reports reaching us says that the governorship candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Isa Ashiru, has urged his party supporters to remain law-abiding while they pursue the appeal process. Ashiru, in a statement he personally signed and issued after the tribunal verdicts, assured the people of Kaduna State that he will pursue the mandate they gave him to its logical conclusion. Now, Ashiru said that given the ruling of the Kaduna State Election Tribunal, it has become necessary to share with the team of supporters the true position of the ruling. On the preliminary objection, the tribunal, based on the majority of 2-1 judges, upheld the preliminary objection of the respondent to the effect that the application for pre-hearing was done prematurely. Before the service of the last set of petitioners' reply to the second respondent's reply to the petition was served. Now, however, the law enjoins the tribunal as a trial court to proceed to pronounce on the merit of the substantive suit, so that in the event of the Court of Appeal finds that the trial tribunal was wrong in its decision on the preliminary objection, it will have the benefit of pronouncing on the decision of the tribunal in the substantive matter. The federal government has declared Monday, October 2nd, a public holiday in commemoration of the nation's 63rd Independence Day celebration. This is contained in a statement by the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Interior, Dr. Oluwatoyin Akinlade, on Thursday in Abuja. According to her, the Minister of Interior, Olubunmi Tunji-Ojo, who made the declaration on behalf of the federal government, congratulated all Nigerians at home and in the diaspora. Tunji-Ojo assured Nigerians of the government's continued commitment to tackling the challenges facing the country. The minister, however, said that the government was really making efforts to confront the varied and numerous challenges with all the might available until respite comes. Tunji-Ojo reiterated that the eminent position of Nigeria in the Committee of Nations and the greatness ahead of the country was achievable if everyone worked together in unity. Nigeria's Vice President Kashim Shettima has assured Nigerians that their sacrifices will not be in vain, saying that the promises made by the Tinubu administration will be fulfilled. Shettima gave the assurance on Thursday at a public lecture to commemorate Nigeria's 63rd independence anniversary at the State House Banquet Hall in Abuja. He said that President Bola Tinubu's administration is committed to building a country where the economic independence of each citizen is guaranteed and where none of them has to depend on unspecified handouts to earn a living. According to him, while this year's anniversary offers Nigeria another opportunity to acknowledge the cross-regional bonds that have kept the country standing as Africa's most populous nation and the largest economy, the Vice President noted that the future of a great nation is not determined by the occurrence of a socio-economic challenge, but by the intention, sincerity, and innovative ideas of its leaders and their commitment to implementing them.
Such solidarity with our economic revival strategy, from the bustling streets of Lagos to the serene landscape of Enugu, has inspired our focus on diverse sectors, from agriculture to digital technology, from healthcare to education. We knew from the starting point of this race to serve the people that the track will not be without its holes and thorns. We knew that challenges will arise and obstacles will test our resolve. But as our history has shown, Nigerians are too ambitious to be broken by a temporary setback. We are going to emerge from this phase of our reform stronger. Each of us with renewed hope.
Where necessary, relevant national think tank institutions, such as the National Institute for Strategic Studies, NIPS, and the Nigerian Institute for Social and Economic Research, NISO, would be engaged to deepen the articulation.
The National Economic Council says the resolve of organized labor to embark on an indefinite nationwide strike by October 3rd could have severe consequences on the national economy at this critical time in the country's history. The Council therefore urged all its members to intensify the options of dialogue with labor leaders in their respective states in a bid to avert the proposed industrial unrest. Governor of Plateau State, Caleb Mutfwang, presented the resolve of Council on Thursday to newsmen at the State House in Abuja alongside other selected members. Kende Amodu reports.
This NEC meeting is presided over by Vice President Kashim Shettima as the country faces an existential crisis. Parameters being considered for the 2024 medium-term expenditure framework are so alarming that the Council has asked the Director General of the Budget Office of the Federation, Ben Akabweze, to go back and rework the figures. There is a nationwide industrial action looming as organized labor has threatened to down tools by October 3rd.
And NEC is appealing that discussions should continue at the state levels, because there will be peculiarities as to the issues to be addressed concerning the demands of labor. Some of the states, when they took over on May 29, the workers were on strike. Some of those issues have just been resolved for the workers to return to work, and to ask them to go back immediately, it's going to further damage the economy.
The National Economic Council has also received reports on flood impact assessment nationwide, categorizing affected states into 3 groupings.
States that are categorized in the A group are states that to them have over 15 points, most affected areas. The states they categorize to category B, that is states that are 10 to 15 points of affected areas. And those they categorize in group C, with less than 10 points. Council in its resolution resolved to develop a roadmap for intervention and directed NEMA to provide immediate intervention or relief to affected states.
The Council also deliberated on fiscal and tax reforms and the extent of the palliative distribution across the subnational levels.
Members of the Council have received the sum of 2 billion from the federal government as part of the palliative, and also work is on progress by all members of the council, and the council urged members to redouble effort to alleviate the sufferings of the Nigerians.
Meanwhile, the Office of the Accountant General of the Federation reports that as at August 31st, 2023, the balance of the excess crude account stood at $473.75 million. The stabilization account stands at 34.963 billion naira, while the development of natural resources account balance is 128.33 billion naira. From State House, Abuja, Kende Amodu, Trust TV News. In the meantime, the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Lateef Fagbemi, has asked the organized labor to respect the June 5 order issued by the National Industrial Court, restraining the Nigeria Labour Congress and the Trade Union Congress from embarking on any industrial action over fuel subsidy removal and related issues. In a letter to the NLC, TUC, and Femi Falana, Fagbemi said that the plan by both labor bodies to embark on an indefinite strike from October 3rd was a violation of the subsisting order and a different disregard to the dignity and integrity of the court. The AGF urged Falana to prevail on his clients to respect the order of the court and allow room for ongoing negotiations between parties on how to address the challenges associated with the fuel subsidy removal.
He noted that from the communique issued by the NLC after its National Executive Council meeting on August 31 and the September 26 joint communique by the presidents of the NLC and TUC, it was obvious that the proposed strike action is premised principally in furtherance of issues connected with the removal of fuel subsidy, hike in fuel price, and consequential matters of making provisions for palliatives and workers' welfare. He reminded them that a court order, regardless of the opinion of any party on it, remains binding and enforceable until set aside. Now, the Nigerian Labour Congress say that no agreement has been reached with the federal government to call off the October 3rd indefinite nationwide strike. NLC's head of Information and Public Affairs, Benson Upa, said this in a statement on Thursday. Countering a statement by the Ministry of Labour and Employment, Upa also said that the NLC did not have any date for a meeting with the government that may lead to suspension of the proposed strike. The NLC also faulted the position of the Ministry of Labour and Employment on the leadership of the National Union of Road Transport Workers. No fewer than 400 commercial motorcycles were on Thursday crushed by the Federal Capital Territory Administration, FCTA. Trust TV's Abdurrahman Umar, who was at the crushing site, reports that the exercise is in line with the mandate of keeping the city safe and clean. The report.
It's lawful, it is right, and it is in the spirit of keeping Abuja safe and smart that these airing motorcycles are crushed today.
That was Secretary of Transport Secretariat FCTA Mboko Tumiinya declaring the commencement of crushing of over 400 commercial motorcycles impounded for operating around illegal designated areas within the FCT. The crushing, he says, is in line with the mandate of keeping Abuja safe and clean.
There are areas designated for different kinds of vehicles. Those, if we are riding bikes and you say you go to the outskirts in the area councils, you should please obey that and don't cross that line, because once you cross that line, the full wrath of the law will be visited on anybody.
According to the Directorate of Road Traffic Services, also known as VIO, Abdulatif Bello, the crushing of the impounded commercial motorcycles is a way of appeal to those investing in the act of violating the regulations to have a rethink.
Operation of motorcycles, commercial motorcycles in the Federal Capital City is a no-go area, and like the Secretary has said, we will visit whoever that is still, disobeying this rule, heavily with every resources at our disposal to make sure that, we curtail them.
Olusola Odomoso is the Commandant Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps FCT Command. He says intelligence shows that commercial motorcyclists, popularly called Okada riders, perpetrate all manner of criminal activities ranging from phone snatching and many others within the FCT.
We've had a series of cases being reported where miscreants, criminals on the bike, they snatch bags, they snatch phones from normal commuters on the road, and this cannot continue.
To have a decent city, the best option is this. So painful that we have to gather over 400 motorcycles to be crushed. It's painful, but the government have been pushing the world to do this. If only our people would just obey simple rules, don't do this, and they don't do it, we wouldn't have been doing this.
Looking at the number of motorcycles that have been impounded and to be crushed, this is a great success in terms of city management. As also highlighted earlier on, it has also given us a boost in terms of sanitizing and cleaning the city.
While officials of the FCTA as well as security agencies in the capital city believe crushing the commercial motorcycles is a positive way to rid the city of criminal elements, some residents of the FCT expressed contrary views.
They should change this policy. They should try and change this policy, because Nigeria is very hard now. Things are very difficult for everybody. Also, as they are crushing their machine, what do they expect them to do now? Some of these bikes are high possessed. How are they going to settle the money? So, my own view, they should try to change this policy.
These Okada people, there are some bad, there are some innocent. But bad people now don't make this thing to affect innocent people. And as they take all these things, this machine now, many of them, they don't get something doing. They will use the kidnap, stealing people things, like they will kidnap innocent children, they will collect people's phone, steal a lot of things. So that is it. If you say our president find solution for those poor people to have another thing doing, so that it will not plenty.
Not there, food not there, the place where you go sleep not there, your village not there. What you go do? If government want crash this thing, it's supposed to find work for us.
Raiding and impounding of the commercial motorcycles across the city is an ongoing process. Abdurrahman Umar, Trust TV News, Abuja.
A food vendor from Sheleng local government area of Adamawa State, Ramatu Adamu, earlier convicted of stealing a pot, wrapper and cooler from her sister's house in Numan, has been discharged by the Adamawa Jail Delivery Committee. She told the Adamawa JDC that she stole the pot and the wrapper due to hunger. Ramatu had been sentenced to one and a half year jail term by the Chief Magistrate Court Numan on August 11, but was released by the committee after she pleaded guilty to the offense and attributed it to hunger. During her appearance before the committee, Ramatu informed the committee that she was a food vendor in Gombe and had visited her sister in Numan, where she committed the crime. She expressed regret over her actions and pleaded with the committee to pardon her so that she could return to Gombe to continue with her business. The committee, chaired by Adamawa State Chief Judge Justice Hafsat Abdurrahman, reviewed her case and discharged her with a warning to desist from any criminal activity in the future. The committee also presented Ramatu with 10,000 naira to help her set up a business upon her return to Gombe State. Now time to take a look at business update with Chiamaka Mwafo.
The federal government has stated its plan to begin taxing wealthy Nigerians to achieve its 18% tax GDP ratio revenue target. This was disclosed by the chairman of the Presidential Committee on Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms, Taiwo Oyedele, in a recent interview with Bloomberg. Taiwo noted that this move is part of President Bola Tinubu's reforms as the federal government aims to achieve an 18% tax to GDP ratio within 3 years. The chairman recently disclosed that the Presidential Tax Committee has no plan to increase taxes. Rather, the committee would harmonize revenue collection to help reduce the tax burden. President Bola Tinubu had on 8 August 2023 inaugurated the Presidential Committee on Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms, directing the committee to achieve its one-year mandate, which is divided into 3 main areas: fiscal governance, tax reforms, and growth facilitation. Monthly revenue collection by the Nigerian Customs Service (NCS) surged over 70% to 343 billion naira between July and August 2023. The Acting Comptroller General of Customs, Adewale Adeniyi, expressed optimism about exceeding the year's NCS 3.6 trillion naira revenue target. Adeniyi said one of the customs' early achievements within the period has been a remarkable boost in average monthly revenues driven by improved efficiency, enhanced service delivery, and securing the borders. Customs revenue monthly collections averaged 202 billion naira in the first half of the year, indicating about 105 billion naira shortfall from the 307 billion naira budgetary target. He further mentioned that ongoing revenue recovery review activities have contributed an additional 8 billion naira in the last 2 months, underlining the service commitments to revenue generation. And finally, the International Monetary Fund, IMF, has recommended that Nigeria and other sub-Saharan African nations prioritize the removal of tax exemptions and enhance domestic revenue generation to mitigate their fiscal deficits. In their publication titled Avoiding a Debt Crisis in Sub-Saharan Africa, the international body contended the that opting for this strategy instead of reducing fiscal spending could safeguard economic growth. According to the IMF, inclusive participation in the labor force, particularly of women, could lead to an approximately 8% growth in the gross domestic product GDP of developing countries in the coming years. In a weekly chart released on Wednesday on its website, the IMF highlighted the significance of addressing the disparity between male and female employment. It suggested that this reform is vital for rejuvenating economies, especially given the bleakest medium-term growth projection in over 30 years. And that's it on Business News. I am Chiamaka Nwafo.
Now, away from Nigeria, a 14-year-old boy described by fellow pupils as hot-headed on Thursday stabbed 3 teachers and 2 students in a school in southern Spain before being overpowered, police said. The boy, who has not been named, allegedly stabbed the 5 victims repeatedly shortly after classes started at the school in Jerez de la Frontera. Police spokesman Adrian Dominguez told reporters at the scene. Now, the spokesman was unable to comment on the extent of the injuries, but Spanish media said one teacher was in serious condition after being stabbed in the eye, while the rest suffered light injuries. The attack caused alarm in Spain, where violent crime is fairly rare. 4 officers have been detained for questioning in Burkina Faso, a prosecutor said on Thursday, a day after the military government announced it had thwarted a coup attempt. The 4 are suspected of involvement in a conspiracy against state security, military prosecutor Ahmed Ferdinand said in a statement on Thursday, adding that 2 others are on the run. Late Wednesday, the junta said that the intelligence and security services had foiled a coup attempt the previous day. It came nearly a year to the day since junta leader Captain Ibrahim Traoré seized power in the West African country on September 30, 2022. His takeover was the country's second coup in 8 months, both triggered in part by discontent at failures to stem a raging insurgency which swept in from neighboring Mali in 2015. Late on Tuesday, thousands of people had taken to the streets of the capital, Ouagadougou, following a call from Traoré supporters to defend him and rumors of a coup on social media. Now in sports news, Team Delta State beat Team Kaduna in male and female volleyball finals at the ongoing National Sports Festival in Asaba to emerge double champions in volleyball. Trust TV's Adeni Ajishafe has more.
The battle for supremacy in male and female volleyball final, where hosting state Delta won 2 gold medals at JJ Okocha Stadium, Ogwachi Uku Delta State. Team Delta had an easy run over Kaduna State, 3-0, 25-14, 25-16, 25-19 to win gold in the girls volleyball, while it was a tough duel between Delta and Kaduna in boys volleyball final. Delta beat Kaduna 3-1, 25-12, 16-25, 25-23, 25-22 to emerge as champions of the boys volleyball event at the ongoing 2023 National Youth Games. Anambra defeated Oyo 3-0 to win top place in both boys and girls volleyball. Team Kaduna volleyball coach Hilary Barwa showed his displeasure with the officiating.
This is under 15 National Youth Games for children, and in a situation where children will put in their best to fight for gold medal and referees will change the game in order to favor a team, I don't think it's fair, and I'm not happy about it. We breed young children into volleyball, and that is why you could see them, very, very young children.
Double gold medal winner Team Delta volleyball coach expresses joy for winning gold in the boys category after so many years of losing in the final.
It's hard work. It's hard work. And all thanks goes to Delta State Sports Council, our chairman. They have been so kind, they have been supporting us. So, when you have facilities and all that, so they have been there for us. Right now, we're going to start preparation for next year's sports festival. And the boys are ready to do it.
In girls and boys semi-final, Sokoto beat Edo 23-9 to qualify, while Kwara girls won 37-34 against Delta to make the final. Team Kwara will face Team Niger in boys and boys final. That's Sport News. I'm Adeni Ajishafe.
And with that, we wrap up the news for tonight. In case you've missed, you can always catch up across all our social media platforms and also on our YouTube live stream. I am Ayuba Ilya. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.
From the Daily Trust News Center, this is the News Hour.